Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving into one of my absolute favorite topics today, the Bill of Rights in everyday life. We are going to take this incredibly important foundational document from the 18th century and connect it directly to your day-to-day routine. Our central claim today is pretty straightforward. The Bill of Rights is a powerful, active document, but it isn't just some magic wand you can wave to get out of everyday rules that you simply don't like.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with Section 1, the Bill of Rights. Section 2, applying the First Amendment. Section 3, Constitution or personal preference. Section 4, other everyday rights. And finish up with Section 5, recap and final question.
All right, Section 1, the Bill of Rights.
Today, we're relying on real primary source evidence. Right off the bat, we have this massive core question from the C3 framework for social studies. What is the line between liberty and responsibility? You know, in a constitutional democracy, being a good citizen really means understanding that delicate balance between the liberties you personally enjoy and the daily civic responsibilities you owe to your community.
So let's lay out our main claim right here. The Bill of Rights is an active document protecting specific freedoms, not every rule we dislike. It was originally drafted to restrict the national government's capacity to encroach on personal freedoms. Now, it is incredibly powerful. But, and this is crucial, it doesn't give us a free pass to just ignore basic community or classroom rules simply because we find them annoying. We're going to test this claim today using cold, hard evidence.
Moving right along to Section 2, applying the First Amendment.
We're pulling our very first piece of evidence straight from the transcriptions at the National Archives. Here is the exact text of the First Amendment. Read along with me. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Pay special attention to abridging the freedom of speech and the right of the people peaceably to assemble. The founders specifically wrote this so citizens could voice their opinions and gather together without fear of the government just shutting them down.
So, what does this actually look like in real life? Well, look at this scenario. Students gathering peacefully at City Hall to protest a town park closing. If a group of middle schoolers is deeply passionate about keeping their local park open and they organize a peaceful rally at City Hall, they are actively using their First Amendment right to peacefully assemble and petition the government. This isn't just dusty history, guys. It's a living, breathing right protecting everyday civic action.
Section 3, Constitution or personal preference. So how do we actually tell the difference between our protected rights being violated and simply having to follow a rule we just don't like? First, we have to define what a rule is. According to the C3 framework, rules are regulations or norms governing actions or procedures. Think of a classic classroom rule. They exist to create responsibilities, protect safety, and keep things functioning smoothly. They aren't designed to rob you of constitutional liberties. They're literally just there to govern daily procedures.
Let's compare the two. On one side, we have a true constitutional right, the right to peacefully assemble, like our students at City Hall. On the other side, we have a personal preference, wanting to hang out in the school hallways during math class. You might really want to wander the halls, but school rules require you to be in class so everyone can learn. Your desire to hang out is simply a personal preference that disrupts a basic procedural rule. It is absolutely not a constitutional freedom.
All right, let's pause and check our understanding here. Take a look at this scenario. You don't like a new school rule that bans wearing hats in class. Think critically about this for a second. Is this a constitutional question, or is it a personal preference? If you guessed personal preference, you hit the nail on the head. Let's break down the reasoning. The First Amendment protects profound foundational liberties like speech, religion, and assembly. A school policy about wearing hats indoors, that's simply a regulation governing procedure. It's a rule meant to maintain a specific classroom environment. You might completely disagree with the rule, and you can totally advocate to change it respectfully, but it isn't a constitutional crisis. It's just a matter of preference.
Section 4, other everyday rights.
Let's check out a few other key amendments to see how they apply every day. Here's the exact text of the 8th Amendment. It says, "Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted." The founders really wanted to make sure that government punishments were fair and proportional. Notice that phrase right in the middle, nor excessive fines imposed. Time for our second pause check. Let's apply that 8th Amendment evidence to a pretty extreme scenario. Imagine a student is given a $500 fine and a week of detention for being just 5 minutes late to class. What do you think?
Is this a constitutional question?
Yes, this absolutely is a constitutional question. Here is why. Being late to class is breaking a rule, sure, but a $500 fine for a 5-minute tardiness is completely, wildly out of proportion. It crosses the line from a basic school procedure straight into the territory of excessive fines and arguably cruel and unusual punishments. This directly connects to the protections in the Eighth Amendment.
Let's look at another one. Here is the exact text of the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Like the others we've looked at, this was specifically written to outline the boundaries of the government and protect citizens.
And here we have the Third Amendment. Now, you probably don't think about this one very often, but it basically guarantees you don't have to share your bedroom with the military during peacetime. The founders were responding to very real historical grievances where colonists were literally forced to house British soldiers. Today, it stands as a pretty firm protection of your home and privacy.
Finally, we have the Ninth Amendment. The founders were incredibly smart. They knew there was no way they could possibly list every single right a person has. So they included the Ninth Amendment to clearly state that just because a right isn't explicitly listed or enumerated in the Constitution doesn't mean you don't have it. It protects all those other everyday rights retained by the people.
Let's bring it all home. Section 5, Recap, and Final Question. Let's recap what we've learned today from our sources. First, the Bill of Rights protects specific vital freedoms, like your right to peaceably assemble or your right to be free from excessive fines. Second, our core claim holds up. The Constitution does not cover mere personal preferences, nor does it override basic procedural community rules meant to keep us safe and organized. And third, if you want to make a really strong civic argument, you need a clear claim backed up by actual constitutional evidence, just like we practice today.
I'm going to leave you with one final transfer question to really get you thinking. Here is the scenario. If a town passes a law making it illegal to print a newsletter criticizing the local government, which amendment applies? And is this a constitutional question or just a personal preference? I am not going to answer it for you. Look back at your primary sources, apply the evidence, and figure out exactly where that line gets drawn. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep asking great questions.